Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mother Days podcast. I'm Teresa Palmer.
And I'm Sarah Wright Olson. Hi, Daisies.
Oh, hi.
Hi. We have a absolutely beautiful human on our podcast today. I'm so excited. A dear friend of mine, Kelly Zajfen, that we are welcoming to the show. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, ladies.
Kelly is the founder of Alliance of Moms, and she's on the board for Alliance for Children's Rights. And Alliance of Moms supports parenting and pregnancy foster youth. And so we are so pumped to have you here today and to talk about all the things. So we will jump right in. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me, ladies. No better two humans to sit in space with.
I wonder who met her first. You probably met her before I did. I met you through Ellie. I was introduced to you through Ellie Norse.
Is that Atomic Moms?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
That
That's
Ellie.
what I thought. Yes.
Oh, good memory. And I was in a baby class with her, like a breastfeeding baby class at the pump station. And I think you guys were at a preschool together. Is that correct?
No, but we met. I can't remember now who we met through, but we were definitely in the same circle of friends and new moms.
Yeah. And so then you and I kind of met and we were chatting and you invited me over for a play day at your house and you had this beautiful home and your twins, boy-girl twins, which like everyone who listens to the podcast knows that my biggest dream in life are boy-girl twins. Mm-hmm. And I come to this house and the kids are playing in this back room, like this cool playroom at the back, and they're running around. And I was looking at you just thinking like, she just has it all together. Like these children are just joy-filled and they're so gorgeous together and they're really welcoming of my kids. They were probably about 2 or 3, I think, all of them. And I remember just looking at you and being like, I want to be like that. That's the kind of mom I want to be like. She's so fun. Nice. She's like, it just looked so beautiful. And then I've also read your stuff since then as well. And you were like, yeah, those early days having twins was really challenging. And I wanted to kind of take you back there, having twins, that sort of postpartum experience, how you found your way, because from the outside looking in, I was like, this is super mum. And from all reports, you still are super mum. So please give us some insider tips. And I'd love to hear more about that time in your life.
Well, I'd have to say that, having twins, I didn't know anything different. So that was, it's not like I just had to go all in. So I'm also very organized.
Yes,
so this for me was very it got into my, all the good things about my brain was like, okay, scheduling, check. I was like giant board on my wall. Like I lived to see what things were happening and who ate what at what time. I just was like, okay, schedule. But I also remember, somebody told me to get a night nurse in the beginning.
Yeah.
I had never heard of such a thing. What do they do? What's happening? And we hired this wonderful woman. I said we only needed her for 3 weeks. She came for 2 nights and my husband and I both were in tears. We were like, you can't leave us. This is this is not happening. She goes, I anticipated this. So I scheduled you in for actually 3 months.
Oh my God.
So she's like, so don't worry. And I was like, oh. And so there was a lot of really hard moments because I didn't have help in the beginning by myself in the daytime. Yeah. So she was always there at night and then I was by myself in the day. And I got cozy and comfortable and I got on a schedule of my own. So I was really able to to function that way, but it was really hard. My husband works and he had to go off, and I was like jealous of the working schedule. I was jealous
Yeah.
of like his like adulting and adult conversations and
Having lunch.
and like I was breastfeeding and I couldn't go anywhere, and I just was like, this is terrible. And I wanted so badly to love the beginning stages, and I actually didn't. I didn't enjoy those really
Yeah.
early parts because I just felt like
hard.
a machine, and I was just trying to do it all.
Mhm.
I remember I stopped breastfeeding pretty early. Hi, Petey. And I
You keep
I
talking.
actually got my
You
life
keep
back.
talking.
I
Amazing.
felt like, okay, I can do this, because I really wanted to know them and talk to them and see them. And I couldn't do that when I was hustling for the milk and the things and doing all of it. So I think once that happened, I took baby steps, and then I got help. I asked for help. But
During the day.
yeah, but 3
Yeah.
months in, but I have to say, like, she still needed me. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like, I took one baby, she took one baby, and we would switch. And
Yes.
I always made sure I had like 1 hour a day just for myself. So I would leave the house no matter what. I really made sure that was a part of my routine. And yeah, and I just look, I was in it. And I truth be told, I don't think I had like the best childhood myself. And so I really it almost like I got to do this all over again, but for them. And so I
Yeah.
wanted it to be fun, and I wanted it to be joyful. And then, the apps started happening on our phone. So like Instacart was invented, early on. And I was
The
like,
dream.
I used to have a folder in my phone that said life made easier. And it was
Oh my
Instacart.
God.
It was my banking. It was dry cleaning. I actually remember Julian being like, how did you get the dry cleaning done? And I'd be like, I don't know, but my app did it, like you didn't have to know how I got it done. But I really figured it out that like I could be home and I could be
Yeah.
focused and I could give everybody else the things that I needed to get done. So I had more time at home. So it was really like difficult, but then it became lighter.
That's always my thing with having it's funny because I feel like having help or like trying to ask for help, there's somebody who's going to jump in and they're going to take care of your kid, and then you have to do all the other stuff. And then I was always like, is there a way for that to not be the case? Like, can I play with my kid and like take care of the kid, and then and then tag team, like high five and tag team, but like maybe somebody else is cooking or doing the shopping or like whatever it is, so that we can like have this time. Like I want to pick up the kids or, whatever it is. And so there's other ways to do the system to where you can make it work, to where you're not like the one going, why am I hearing giggles in the other room and I'm in here like, doing this, and I feel all this separation. And it's just, there's so many aspects of those early stages that are so isolating. And I can't imagine how isolating that must feel too. You have double, and like,
and also building, I really made sure I built community while I was doing it, because I didn't want to be alone for it. But I
smart.
also, and that's when, the greatness of like Little Minis, when I started Little Minis, my company,
Yes, I remember.
Alliance of Moms, like those things came out of like wanting to be creative and still want to work, but also do the same. And I wanted people who were, early moms and wanted to experience and talk. And I lost my mom a long time ago. And so that was really about, I needed other people to ask questions to. I needed, a team. And so I certainly didn't do it alone. And it was easier to have more fun and be joyful when there was a lot of people around to be a part of the little village.
And that's the way that I want these babies to be raised, right? When you think about like the way they were always raised in community, in these tribal communities where everyone was pitching in. It was so beautiful. And I feel like Los Angeles really afforded you that community. I like was a part of the pump station, and I was meeting all these new moms.
Yeah.
And we all had babies around the same age, and you're able to support each other and like, I'll hold your baby while you go to the toilet, and like have these big mass play dates where you're looking out for everyone's babies. It was such a magical
Beautiful. Yeah.
time. Yeah.
And I had, look, I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to be home with my kids and knowing that like I didn't have that opportunity when I was younger, and wanting to give that to my kids, and having an amazing partner and husband who, I remember it like yesterday when he said, you make a house a home, and that's really important. And so it's just as valuable that, and for what I do. So we both are equals. So it really, I've been able to enjoy being a mom and parenting. And we also we know what we give to the table. And so I'm in charge of a lot more things, and school things, and, he can chime in, but there's no competition. There's no judgment. There's no, we just sort of let each other, we're good at our jobs,
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. I always admired, well, first of all, you take the most beautiful photographs. And
I know.
I know.
Love
And I
photography.
love,
Oh my gosh, I was
following
like,
you
are
because
you a
I think,
professional?
No.
but you are, I mean, you could be if you wanted to be. You're a professional photographer of life and your brand. And when you had little minis, I was like, I was stalking you all the time with little minis. I was like, it's sold out. The dot dress sold out. I don't know what to do. I really want one. I was like that guy DMing you. But I just loved watching, like, you did this beautiful job, and you talked about this like later on, but about how much you documented your kids. And you like document life and the joy of life. Like when you go on a vacation, I feel like I'm experiencing it. It's like everything that you guys eat, I'm like, oh my God, the ice cream, the sundaes, it's so good, the pastas and I'm just like, I need and you probably have this, but I need like an itinerary book after you're done with each one of your trips. Cause I'm like, I remember when you guys went to France and you had some home that you rented, and I was like, what was this house? Where was it? Like, send it to me. Is this an Airbnb? Like, it was amazing.
It's one of my, I've said this before, but when we had kids, Julie and I were such big travelers. And when we had kids, we just really wanted them to be added value when we travel. And we decided early on that for holidays and birthdays, we were never going to do exchange of gifts. We were always going to do the gift of travel. And so we never do it. And so we always, what adventure are we going on for Christmas for 2 or 3 weeks? What adventure are we taking them in the summertime?
So
for birthdays, it became, early on it was birthday parties, but as they got older, it was like, do you want a birthday party or do you want an adventure? And they'd be like, adventure. So my job was so fun because I could plan these epic and I was doing it with them. So it was things that I wanted to do too, in France and Fiji and, all these amazing places that I'd rather spend my money on.
Yeah.
And they get to experience and see all these beautiful places and people, and they don't have all the toys, but that's okay.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Who
toys
doesn't
are overrated.
oh my gosh, the amount of purging I do in my house.
I've never ever had Legos. I just want to be clear. They
were
never.
What?
Wow.
No. Or slime. No.
Oh, slime. So it's now banned from my house. Nope. I can't.
Well, I have to say that my computer right now is sitting on Lego boxes.
Nope. Won't do it. Now I will because she's old enough. But I never, ever had Legos.
Wow.
No.
I don't know how you did it.
They're also painful in the middle of the night, like when they get left out.
No.
When
and I'm
trying
to go to the toilet and I'm stepping on these really painful little weapons on the ground that they leave out.
We do epic art. Well, you were talking about the backyard. I made this the outdoor space I made into a huge art studio. So we had you can get crazy and paint, and we would do crazy awesome art projects back there. So that's what I would let the mess get the best of us, but less so the tiny little plastic pieces of life.
You're so generous with everything that you share on Instagram, and you have such a loyal following of people who, it's so funny, they're like internet strangers, I'm assuming, but everyone loves you and the content that you share. And you shared about the most painful period in your life when you lost your son. And I wanted to kind of take you back to those early days of grief, and also how did you decide that you wanted to bring people on the journey and let them into what was going on for you during that time?
The very early moments was really about, I could not imagine people forgetting him.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was desperate for people not to forget. And I mean, I still am. So I think early moments was really, I would post everyday pictures of George. And I still do.
I know. I
And
love
so
that.
I started to invite people in because there was two parts to this. Grief is really lonely. And then also it didn't have to be. So I realized really early on that all these amazing people, and a lot of them were strangers, were helping me through each day. And so creatively, I thought, is there something that I can connect everybody? Because everyone wants to help.
That's
And they don't know how to help. And so they're certainly not going to ask me. So then I just sort of kind of gave little things, when I talk about George, one of the things that happened on our last vacation together, he said, he came down crying and said, what happens when we die? Where do we go? And how are we remembered? And I said, where's this coming from? And I said, I wish I could tell you. I wish I had these answers. These are such big, questions. And I said, I know how we're remembered, at least how I think about how we're remembered is how kind and good we are to people. And they're going to speak our name all the time because of how kind we are. And he's the kindest. And I don't just say that. His school, the kids, the families, anyone who met him, he is so kind.
You feel that from just the photos that you share.
So
His
joyful,
smile.
I was just going to say, tell us about him.
Yeah, he was just so kind and joyful and beautiful. And then that moment he said, I think I need to get off my iPad, Mama. I think I need to see more sunsets. And I said, what a great idea. And so I made this board of desserts and snacks. And we ran outside. We were in France and we ran outside and they were running around. We were taking tons of pictures and they were piggyback riding. And and I thought about sunsets for Georgie and how simple that could be.
Yeah.
And a message that he said to me so clearly was let's pause for the day. Let's say thank you for this beautiful day that we were given.
Yeah.
Let's watch the day go down and appreciate it. And so I thought we all should be doing that every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I posted Sunsets for Georgie, it just started this beautiful thing on social media, which is so, I've had such a positive experience with this time, and it allowed people in, and then I got to see it. So every day it was so beautiful to be from Ireland, from, Germany,
all over the world.
And I'd be wow, they're thinking of George and they're thinking differently about how they're loving their children and how they're being more patient with their children. And it could have gone a different direction where I would have taken that wrong if someone would have said oh, I love my children differently because of you. But I'm isn't that beautiful to realize that the life I gave to George and what he gave back is giving to all these children and their families, and there's more love going on in their homes. I think that's beautiful. So
what a beautiful thing.
I started inviting people, and then I started writing, which that wasn't my creative outlet. I love photography. I love using that as my creative ways and art. And I started doing it because I needed to speak to you, to them, about how to handle me. And because it's not easy. It's not easy. And I wanted to teach people, and I'm still teaching people really, I don't want to say behave, but maybe. And that was
I think it's a good word.
And that was really my way of telling you without you really, me having to be this is the way it is. So
yeah,
it just is a helpful tool.
I feel like you've probably come across those like very well-meaning people who will say something like a little left of center that makes you pause and be like, that is so unhelpful. Like, how do you offer grace in those moments? Or is it just like an energetic boundary and you sort of forgive them for not understanding how to be? Because I can imagine you experienced a lot of that and probably still do experience a lot of that.
Yeah. So the beginning, I feel like if you messed with me in the first 6 months, I didn't build my grace box yet. So like I have 3 boxes, and
that's okay.
It's like a toolbox that I learned from like therapists and all kinds of like different interesting people. And I build that. And I have my grace box, which I keep that really going. And then I have my fuck you box.
Yeah. Great. I'm glad you have that one.
Pretty full.
That was like the starting toolbox.
Yeah.
So I was met early on with wild things. Like you would be like, what? They didn't say that to you. And I'd be like, they did. And I don't even know. I can't believe it. And I don't even know how to respond to it.
Yeah.
So, and I think what happened is, which is really hard. And I understand, because this is the worst thing that can happen to any parent. It is literally, I live in a very dim version of what I used to live in. And it's very hard to find joy. I seek it every day, but it's not easy. And I think what was coming at me was fear-based. And it was them really wanting to ask, how can this not happen to me?
Right.
And the truth is, I didn't have the answer. And that scared them even more. I can't believe it happened. I can't say to you, this can't happen to you.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
Because it can. So everything I knew to be true and safe and what I understood no longer applied anymore. Because my I don't want to say naive self, but my optimistic mother, heart that walks around every day hoping that everything is going to be great, it shattered. So I think that was really hard for people. So they say things and they do things to try to get me to say something or react in a way that tells them it's going to be okay. And I couldn't do it. And I couldn't figure out how to say that without me just, losing it and crying. And I called them landmines, and I've learned how to be able to speak about this, how to be able to catch myself in a landmine, and how I operate or use any of my toolboxes to get out of those landmines. Lily, my daughter, his twin has building her own toolbox. So she has her own way of doing things, but it still happens every day, but I handle it differently now than I would have, I think then, because I wasn't ready to really say it. But I've said some things that were probably not so nice, and now I can say, I honestly, like the other day I was leaving a dinner and this woman said to me, did you hear about the boy who died at our school? And I said, I do. And I know his name. And she said, and it's interesting because I get a lot of people with child loss who write me, and I am super supportive, and I want to console the parents, and I want to be a part of them helping find a different way through. And she said, I really want to say something to the parents. Like, do you have any advice? And I said, I guess I would just question your intentions, because is it for you? Is it about you? And I would have never been able to say that. But now I could just say, like, whoa, before you speak to someone who's lost a child or lost someone, I think you have to know your intentions. Yeah. And if your intentions are to help and to support the parent, there are so many ways you can do that without them even knowing about it.
Yeah, exactly.
If your intentions are for you and just to support and help.
Seen that you're helping, or to be seen.
Or because you feel like, obligated. Like, I feel like I need to say something. It's going to make me feel better to say something.
It's not about you.
Right, exactly.
It's not about you. And that's hard for people to hear. I also called them I used to see one therapist for a while. And I called them grief groupies.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's so
Wow.
true though.
Yeah.
That's very apparent. People love to like latch on and be a part of
But not,
like
I have to say, like for me personally, it wasn't very many. I could see them a mile away. My therapist would always say the only good thing about grief is that you get crystal clear glasses that you
it's
can
true.
see bullshit a mile away. You're going to be shocked. So I'm able to create boundaries and understand what I can hold and what I can't. But I will say the majority, which I call the greatest acts of kindness, came from so many strangers and also
Mm,
my best friends. I'm shocked, and I could never have gotten through those even days, weeks, months
mm,
without them. It would have been
Yeah.
impossible.
yeah.
I read
Oh.
that beautiful interview between Kate and yourself, like your bestie,
Oh,
and
yes.
she was in postpartum at the time, and like the
Oh,
way she was able to hold you and just like the strength of your friendship together is so beautiful. And she describes you, well, everyone describes you as joy filled, and the fact that that's something that it's a choice for you, like it's an everyday, like find those moments of
mm-hmm.
joy. um she talked, I think she suggested this idea of a burn book, like in
She holds
those.
it.
She really,
She holds
wow.
it.
And is
By the
that
way,
just like a dumping of
mhm,
feelings and anger and
mhm.
whatever? Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think you guys have heard of, he's a grief expert. He was suggested to me early on to have a FaceTime with him, and I FaceTimed him like week one. And I was in my
Oh,
Wow.
bed,
wow.
and he was like, how are you and Julian, my husband? And I said, I don't know, because, we are grieving so differently
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and we experience such different things. And so he said, I'm going to tell you something. And it was one of the greatest piece of advice I'd ever been given. And I think it really helped the trajectory of all of my next moments. And this is where the burn book stuff comes in too. He said, if you're under a car and Julian's under a car, I would never ask you two to help each other.
Mm,
You need your own teams to get you
Yeah.
out from under the car. I can't be like, hey, Julian, get me out. He's like, I'm under a different car. So
Wow.
he's like, you need your own teams. So like lean into your teams, lean into your people, your friends. And then once you're out, you guys can support each other. And
that
so
is interesting.
we both never applied pressure on each other. We let each other flow in whatever direction we needed. We are on different paths of grief entirely. And we come together when we come together, and it's beautiful, but we respect so much of each other's different spaces. And then with
Wow.
my group that helped me up, I'm still under the car, but they've helped me. They, each of them individually, I'm aware of what they can hold. I'm also aware what my husband can hold and what he can't.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to give him the entire package of what I'm holding. That's
Mhm.
so unfair. So Kate is my 6 a.m. and she's been my
Yeah.
6 a.m. forever. And she can hold the most shit. She gets so mad when I tell her things. She gets revved up. So, and she's funny and she's
We love that
dark.
friend.
And she brings so much joy and happiness at my 6 a.m. where she'll be like, I can't believe I'm taking that. And then, by the way, sometimes I forget. Okay. It's been like, so like I'll say someone's in the burn book, let's say 6 months ago, and then she'll see me and I'll be talking to someone and she'll go, excuse me, is she still in the burn book? Like, why? Like, you've got to tell me when she exits the burn book.
Oh
And
my
I was
God.
like,
She like studies the burn book at night before she goes to bed.
She's still holding
yeah, yes,
the anger. Oh God.
yeah. So I can literally tell her and give her all of the stuff, the heavy stuff that like people say that I need to get out because it's so terrible or hurtful or whatever. And look, now I manage it differently. Like I can laugh at things. Like I know certain friends I can be like, oh my God, you're never going to guess this happened. And they're like, you've got to write this stuff. You've just,
Yeah.
it's just, I can't believe these people. And so I'm finding humor in the actual shit of what this is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That that's amazing. Do you feel like at this point, like how is it different than it was, in those first that first year? Do you feel like it's changed for you? Is there a way that you're handling it differently, that you have different tools in your toolbox now, and so,
Yeah. I think part of me doesn't like the word grief
Yeah.
anymore. I think it's too general
Mhm.
for what my experience has been. I've lost both my parents.
Mm.
I've lost a lot of life before, and this is very different. And so when
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, I'm grieving," whatever it may be, I'm like, "Oh,
Ah,
I just hate being in
hate
that
that
box."
word.
It's not
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
like I kind of made up my own word, and it's
Yeah.
aftering. So I'm like,
Oh,
Oh.
so I'm living in the after now. And
yeah.
so since George passed, I've been in this aftering moment and not just grieving, but actively navigating life after the before.
Right.
So it's not really past tense. It's like this continuum. And I find that it's only different because I'm able to manage the landmines. It doesn't feel any different.
Yeah.
I feel so sad all the time and I can burst into tears for any which reason.
Yeah.
But I I built these toolboxes and I continue to do so. And Lily's now just sort of awake. She said, I think I finally just realized what happened. So it's
Aw.
taken her a while and, immediately asked for all the things and has her own team now and in
Mm.
addition to us. And so because she's navigating loss of a twin brother and what that looks like. And so she's building her own toolbox. So I have to navigate a lot of removed schools. And so can they handle
Yes.
her grief and can her new friends and,
Mm.
it's really, so I'm also living a little bit now through her and her newness and her own, toolbox, but we're building it together. We have a code where we use our fingers and our hands and we call it car
Mm.
talk. So if something happens at school, we do this and she'll say car talk mama and we get in the car and we can scream, cry. I'll say, who am I taking out today? And
Mm.
and then she'll be like, no mama. And I'm like, I'm taking him down. And so we definitely, yeah,
I love your
yeah,
relationship. I
Me
I
think
love it.
that
too.
It's the
it is
best.
just so special and it's always been so special. I
Yeah.
just feel like you just have always been someone that I've been really inspired by and the way you are with your kids. I'm just like, you are remarkable and you have built this beautiful, like respectful, gorgeous relationship with them where you are always, you can be lent on and they know that you're going to show up. And that is so comforting for her. I'm sure she never would have been able to navigate this without this pillar of strength, this mother
Yeah.
who shows up in this way. And that must
But
feel
also vice
good.
versa. I think
Yeah.
she's really I say George is my sunset and she's my sunrise. Like she helps me get
Oh,
up in the morning and she really helps me find the joy because I want joy for her. I want her to have a childhood. I want her to have,
yeah, of
I mean,
course.
because what happened to her too is the worst thing in the world. And, um, and so it's an active process to wake up every morning and say, I'm going to get up today.
Mm.
And it's
Yeah.
really easy to say that it would be easy for me.
I think I read this thing years ago by this beautiful woman, Anna, who lost her son, Albie, when he was 3. And I think it's been very cathartic for her to write about grief through her Instagram. And I read this thing that I saved and I kept. She maybe wrote it about 3 years ago. It was really eloquent. And she talked about how like the trees keep growing and the seeds,
Yeah.
everything still goes. Like life still moves on. But she was describing this idea that she feels like her life froze in that moment. but people's children are growing older and their lives just continue on. And she said that was the hardest, that was one of the hardest aspects, is like being okay with like the forward movement of life, even though you feel stuck in this experience that happened to you. And it was so true. I thought about that and I was like, that must be so hard to see that around you.
I think that's still a very hard piece because they were twins, or are twins. And for me, they were the same age. And then she started growing. And I lost the kneecaps and the little things that were very similar with each other that I could close my eyes and even think for 5 seconds that it was him. And that changed. And so now she's like a beautiful woman. And it's a hard process to watch because, and also watching his friends grow and but I also didn't want to stop appreciating them and loving their families. And I love it. Like I do the George Zajfen tennis tournament now every year, and his friends come and play, and they're getting bigger and bigger, but I love it. I love to see them. I love that they still talk about him. I love that they bring him up. I love that they feel safe and comfortable enough to talk to me about him. And yeah, it's hard to think. So I had a really hard time with graduation. I had a really hard time with orientation in 7th grade. And I think one of the quotes the woman said was like, "Yes, everybody made it. We all made it to 7th grade." And my husband walked out. No, we didn't all make it to 7th grade.
No.
So it's
that landmine.
Huge. And so for us, that it's tiny, but for somebody else just to say that so easily, and those like big moments are really, really hard.
That makes a lot of sense. I was going to say that Teresa, my mom, actually, because my mom lost my brother at 3 years old, and that was exactly what she said was the hardest part for her. She was like, I just couldn't even like believe like people were going through the drive-through to get food. Like she would just like look over and be like, why is life just back to normal everywhere?
We went on our first trip back to Kauai, which is our favorite place.
Yes.
And I remember I was so grateful. We went for a wedding and the girl wrote George on the invitation, even knowing he wasn't going to be able to attend.
That's amazing.
I was so grateful for that. And when we went to check in, she said 3 people. And I said, no, 4. And she's like, I only have 3 tickets. And I was like, are you sure? And I stopped myself and I went, no, I'm so sorry. You're right. There's 3 of us. Like these things just happen all the time. And then I have to catch myself, take lots of deep breaths and be like, yeah, sometimes it's too much. It's just too much.
How do you keep his spirit alive around you? I know you're very spiritual like us, and I know you've lent on Laura Lynn Jackson in the past. And like, how do you keep that connection with him and fold him in?
About that book, and you were like, 1,000 people have told me about it.
Well, I literally, it's funny. The first 2 weeks, I had so much. I had like a library of grief, and I was like, I don't have time to read these books. You guys are crazy. And Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson, I had like 8 copies, and then I read the first chapter, and a little boy died, and I thought, you all have lost your minds. Like anyone who sent me that is in trouble.
Everyone went into the FU box. We were all in the burn book.
I didn't even know yet who was in the burn book, but I was there like, what? And so I didn't read it. I was listening to like audio. I was starting to, and I skipped through that
too. Yeah.
So I would like listen to different things, and then I heard her voice, and so I ended up listening to her later. But people kept being like, you should go to my medium, and you should talk to my medium, and I was like, I'm not talking to anyone's medium. This is crazy behavior. But then but I was like, what if they can talk to George? But then I thought, but wouldn't he come to me and talk to me? Like,
Yeah.
why would he go to some other random person that I have to find through someone who I don't even know? Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but she was so many people told me I should see her, that she had a waiting list, but they all phoned into her and wrote her and said she had to speak to me. And then I went to one of my best friend's house, and she was like, I'm seeing this woman, Laura Lynn Jackson, next week. And I was like, this is so crazy. This keeps happening. And they're like, so she texted Laura, and Laura's like, I'll get her in a little earlier.
Oh.
And so we had this amazing conversation, and I really felt very safe with her. It's really dangerous for parents to be speaking, I think, to people too early, in my opinion. I think we're so desperate for answers that we'll listen to anything. And I was really nervous about it just for my own mental health. And she said to me early on, you actually don't even need me. Like, I could be out of a job, quite frankly, because you have it in you to speak to him anyways. But we went through this whole thing, and she had all this information that was so wild and so correct. Like, she kept saying, like, you made a room for him, right, in your house. And I said, yeah, we just moved in, but he picked his own room. We didn't get to move in yet. And she said, he keeps saying something about something behind his door. And I was like, no, our whole house is glass. There's like, no, there's no way. And she's like, no, he's really adamant about something behind this door. And I was like, okay. And I was like in the car, so I couldn't go and look. She's like, just text me later. And I was like, all right. So I went through the whole process with her and talked to her. And we talked a lot about, Georgie and I talking to each other about what we would come back as if something ever happened to us. And I said, well, I love flowers. I love sunflowers and lavender. I'd probably come back as a bee. And that way, if someone pissed me off, I can sting them. And he was like, no, Mom, but that's such a bad idea. You would lose your stinger and it'd be over. And I was like, it'd be worth it. And then he giggled, and he was like, me too. That's what I want. So anyways, I was telling her the story, and anyways, we talked about the bees and all the things. And she's like, you were having a conversation about something, like, and so she's like, so that's your sign. I want you to look for it and ask him for the signs that you need in the day, in the moment, whatever that is. He'll give it to you. You just have to be paying attention. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I thought about it. And then I hung up with her, and I went running in the house, and I opened the door in his new bedroom. And sure enough, there's a small wall, and there was a picture from his old room that I had brought over and hung. And it says, I love my family.
Oh.
And I was like,
gosh.
there's just no way. There's just no way.
Oh, how would she know? Yeah. Wow.
There's just no way. So then I thought, okay, lady. And then I started asking George for things and bees. And I'm telling you, bees and sunflowers is like, they come up. Like, I also had the craziest thing, because I didn't believe in this stuff, guys.
Yeah.
I was like, we go into the earth, we come back, we're their energy, it's wonderful. We come back as something, whatever this may be, but I don't know the answers, and I wish I did, and I'm angry now because wherever he is, he's not with me, and I need to find him, and I'm going to look for him forever.
Yeah.
And at his funeral, we had a video of him reading The Giving Tree when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved the book, and he was a great reader. And so anyways, we had to set the thing at the service. And afterwards, when I finally could go see him at his grave, and visit, my girlfriends brought me, and they were behind me. And I sat down, and a bee came and sat, and I smiled, and I was literally like, okay, sure. And then I was like, that can't be. And then I got up and I walked with the girls, and we had just decided we decided we were actually going to move into this house because we thought we would never be able to live in this house. And it just wasn't going to happen. And we had just decided, let's do it. He was here. He picked his room. He knew this house. Why would we ever try to find something that he didn't touch? And so it was the contractor's first check. And I told my girlfriends, I walked back to the car, and I said, it's so crazy. I saw a bee that's just wild. And, I smiled, whatever. And I got in the car, and I was, can you take me to the nearest post office? And they drove me to the nearest post office right down the hill. I said, I'll walk in by myself. I got this. I just need a stamp. And I walked in and no one was there. And I said to the lady, I handed her the thing. I just need one stamp. And just, a shell of a person. I can barely even function. And she goes, we don't sell individual stamps, but we have stamp, boxes and things. And she's like, we have really beautiful ones. We have flowers and we have this and we have that. And we have the giving tree. And I was like,
No.
what? I said, I'm sorry, what did you say? And she said, I have the giving tree.
Oh my God.
And I
What?
said, I'll take the giving tree. And so I took it and I took the rest of the packet and I got into the car and I was like, there's just no way.
Oh my God.
And so I said, you guys have to go back to that post office and buy every single stamp you possibly can. And then you need to go to every post office, if ever there was, and you need to buy them out.
Oh
so
my gosh.
They went back. They were sold out. They were in fact sold out everywhere because it had already been out for so long and they didn't have any left. And so I just happened to go to the one post office down from where he's resting.
Wow.
And of course, everyone went. I actually sent my girlfriend in Montecito. I was like, go on a mission in Montecito. There's got to be post offices in Montecito. She's like, there's nowhere. They're not anywhere. So everyone went to eBay and started buying me all these off of eBay. So now I have a ton. But
I was going to say, how did you just pull that out from under the computer?
Oh, this is my this is my desk with all my stuff. And so
wow.
Laura Lynn did something to me. And whether you believe all the things or not, the fact that she gave me something to look for every day and to think about and to have this spark of joy. I mean, now I'm a firm believer. And I took Lily for the first time to New York and we went to a concert and backstage, this woman walks up to me and she's like, are you Kelly? And I say, I am. She's like, I'm Laura Lynn. And I was like, yeah. She's like, she's like, this is definitely Georgie doing this.
Oh,
so I was like,
my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm like, I am a believer in
definitely
you putting that out there and you asking for it. And that has brought me a lot of just comfort, if I'm honest.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Whether that is anything or not, it's just done something.
It is something.
For sure. I mean, if you do believe that we are all energy, what it's doing is taking that to a whole other vibration and level, and you can really feel it. And
what a beautiful gift.
Yeah,
she's an
incredible human.
Oh, she's amazing. Teresa got me what was it, a full session,
a workshop
day. I went and sat with my notebook and listened to her whole thing, and it was on with a neuroscientist and whatever. But I was just whatever she was putting out that day, I was like, I wanted to make that. I'm just
she was. We had her on the podcast. I was pregnant at the time. And she knew that I had lost my baby before I knew. And I didn't know. I had no idea. And she said to me, you've had 2 losses. And I was like, oh, no, I've only had 1. But then I was like, oh, well, but I didn't want to say, no, I've only had 1 on the podcast. I was like, oh, yeah, I got kind of awkward in that moment. And I was like, oh, that was weird. And then I thought about it later and I was like, that's weird that she thought I've had 2 losses. And then I found out a couple of days later. And to me, I was like, that is I mean, I didn't even know. And she already knew. This woman she's so powerful. But I love that the whole message of it is it's in all of us. We have access to these same tools. And that, I think, sets her apart from a lot of the other mediums where you're right, it can be dangerous for people to go seeking out answers to anyone that they get recommended. There's something about Laura's way that really resonates.
She also taught me, though, so I could say this out loud now to people, is that if you're going to a medium, if they're not, you don't have your best and highest intention for you, then they're actually not mediums and they're not good for you. No one's ever going to give you bad information or scary information or dangerous information. Those are the people that want you to come back, that they have the power to then tell you more and more and more. She's like, if they don't, it's all good. You should only be talking about positive, good things. There's nothing negative. So that really stood out to me.
Wow.
About her.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. That's a really good note.
Yeah.
I remember seeing on your Instagram, you were posting a lot of sunflowers and you're talking about sunflowers. And then it's just like what she talks about in the book is how, like, when you really open yourself up to a sign or, like that connection, if you establish a sign or, whatever it is, that you'll start seeing them and then you'll see that connection. But I remembered seeing you like reposting people seeing stuff. And then I was like, I had just seen your Instagram and then we were driving in Montecito and pulled into some parking lot and there was this massive mural of the most beautiful sunflower. And do you remember I snapped a picture and sent it to you? And I was just like, okay, I'm feeling like this is for you. This is not for me. This is for you.
Yeah. I love that.
It makes us all feel close to him though. Like even though I didn't know him that well, like when I see the sunset and me and my kids talk about it, sunsets for Georgie, like we all feel like you've so generously shared him with all of us. And even though I didn't get to know him older than, 2 or 3 when I first met him, I feel like I know him. I feel like his kindness, like it comes through everything that you share. This like beautiful, soulful, divine child. I just think that's it's such a gift. And thank you for your generosity in sharing him with the world.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It means I'm doing something right, I guess. If people, I don't want anyone to forget him, and I want to keep talking about him, forever and ever. And I think a lot of people who lose children do end up really turning the sadness into purpose. And so, foundations or raising money or any of those kinds of things in their kids' names so that they're not forgotten. So yeah, I try every day to find some new creative way to keep talking about it without being like, oh, this poor lady.
Oh, well, you're doing such a beautiful job.
Well, the community is doing a good job, and I'm really, really grateful for the love and support from the strangers. I read everything, and I write back to people. I write all the time. I just am so grateful that this has become, that I'm not doing it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you. Yeah. So
thank you for
much.
sharing that. And for sharing just your story and all those beautiful words. I feel very inspired by you, as I always have since I've met you.
No, same here. And also, you're just such a light, like you are. You do spread so much joy. Seeing pictures of you, even when we were both reading that interview with Kate, and there's like a picture of you and Kate together, but in photographs of you, there's even a photograph of you and I, which I have to find because I can see it in my, like you and I were sitting at the end of this bus,
with flowers.
full of flowers. Yes. And you have this like comfortable, beautiful presence in photographs. Like you just look like you're so like confident and there and like lived in, and it's amazing. But so when I saw that picture of you and Kate, I was like, oh yeah, she's just so cool.
Oh my God,
we all want to be your friend.
We just want to be your bestie in all your gorgeous dresses. And
you can borrow my dresses anytime. I will say the fact that you still see joy or light now, because like I see all of it. Like I remember a new mom at school. She was so cute. She said, "You're so joyful. You have such a light." And I burst into tears because she didn't know me at all. She's never known me before George. And so I said, "You have no idea what that means to me because I don't feel light. I feel dim." And so the fact that you still see something that's joyful, it's such a beautiful thing. And thank you for saying that because it's hard for me to see it, because I can look at pictures and say, "Oof, I see how sad she is." So, yeah.
Well,
thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we love you. And
thank you for sharing your time.
Because I'm sure, like, other families out there that this will be so meaningful to them.
Yeah.
Even like your boxes, I think are so great for
so great.
I'm here to teach dark humor to get you through anything.
That's right. And but also I'm like, I need your organizational brain. Like you even know where to put your stuff.
I know.
I have to have compartments.
Yeah. And then can you just tell our audience where they can learn more about Alliance of Mums?
Well, you can go to allianceofmoms.org or you can go to allianceforchildren'srights.org. Both are, Alliance of Moms is under the umbrella, and we'll be doing the George Zajfen tennis tournament, which you can just Google and it will come right up. That's October 18th. And every year I do a t-shirt campaign, which beautiful ladies always say yes to. And that will be in March. So there's lots to do.
I wear my t-shirt all the time. It doesn't fit over my stomach at the moment, but when it's not so big, I wear my t-shirt all the time.
I know. I almost snapped a picture the other day because my daughter Esme wears that Cleo designed. She wears it all the time as her like bedtime shirt, and I was like, "This is so cute."
The kids at school are wearing my shirt, but they're cutting it like this, so it's like "Mama, Mama, Mama, thank you." And Lily and her best friends wear it at school, and I'm like, "Thank you."
I remember when we cut up our t-shirts. We did a little. My daughter tries to do that where she like starts cutting her. I'm like, "Don't do it," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." I remember when my mom was like, "Please stop cutting your clothes."
Yeah, we're at that stage.
Yeah,
we're at that stage.
Live your best life is my whole, well, I say with an F word, but anytime my husband like, "Can I go do this? Can I do that? I'm going to golf tomorrow, okay?" And I'm like, live life. Just say yes to everything, please.
Yes.
Just please, every day.
That's really good advice.
So
go on a trip, do all the things.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
well,
and okay.
Yes, that's like our motto over here. Yes, and
that's our motto. Yes, and
so you guys can find Kelly Zajfen. I almost did it. I almost did Zajfen. Can I blame my Australianness for this? Zajfen. Okay.
Yep.
Oh God. You can find Kelly at _heart mum, and that's the American spelling of mum, guys. Mom. With an underscore at the end.
That's right.
On Instagram, and continue to follow her beautiful journey, and she's so inspiring to everyone. So we love you. Thank you. You guys.
We love you, daisies. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bye. Bye, Kelly.
Bye.
Thank you. We love you.